So I finally got to check out The Fall Guy, which is the new Ryan Gosling film directed by David Leitch. David Leitch has also directed films like Bullet Train, Deadpool 2, Hobbs and Shaw. He's an action director, also a stuntman, but has turned into a director. David Leitch was actually Brad Pitt's original stuntman for Fight Club, and directed him in Bullet Train, and has now moved on to directing a bunch of action films. And The Fall Guy is a movie that's based on the show from the 80s that's also called The Fall Guy, and this movie was served as a love letter to stunt doubles. So The Fall Guy follows Ryan Gosling's character Colt, who is a stuntman who has the hots for Emily Blunt's character, who is a camera operator but has turned into a director, and he has gotten a new job after having 18 months off after a severe accident, and is now working on her new film to try and rekindle that love connection that they once had. I had a really good time with this film. I think that it was very fun. It had a lot of charm to it. I mean, Ryan Gosling obviously is a very charmful person and has a lot of charisma when it comes to his performances. And him and Emily Blunt on screen really killed it. I think in the first, probably like 2/3 of the film, maybe not even 2/3, like the first half of the film, I think the editing felt a little bit awkward, which I think worked well with the characters, but while I was watching it, I was like, this seems a little off. But I also was never bored. It was very funny, it was very fun, it was very action-packed. Not as action-packed as I thought it was going to be, I will say. I think that it wasn't as exciting as I thought it was going to be, considering that it was a film that was centered around being a love letter towards stunt people. But there were a lot of great set pieces, there was a lot of great stunt work. I think it worked really well as a love story. I think it maybe have focused a bit too much on it, and there was a lot of plot going on, especially with the main plot of the film, that I didn't care too much about that, but I did care more about Emily Blunt and Ryan Gosling on screen together because they were great. Now, part of this film, like I said, is about Emily Blunt's character, who is a camera operator but has finally got her directing gig, and she's directing this film that, even while watching the film, it kind of reminded me of like the new Zack Snyder film that everyone is hating on. But the film looked very, very cool. Actually, it's kind of something that I wish is being made because it looked really fun. And everyone on screen looked like they were having a good time filming this. Ryan Gosling has really moved into this sort of funny character. You know, he was in Nice Guys back in 2016, which is an amazing comedy film, and he's really good when it comes to those comedic timings and telling jokes. But Ryan Gosling also has that side of him who was like very depressed, like in Lars and the Real Girl, Blade Runner 2049. Like he has that character, and then he has this character, which is just a very witty, charmful guy, which, you know, I can appreciate because Ryan Gosling is very versatile when it comes to mixing those together and doing them separate. And with this film, it's really just funny, and he does kind of become that very sad boy-ish near the beginning when he has his accident, but really throughout this film, he's just having a really good time because it looks like he did a lot of his stunts. Now, I'm sure he didn't do most of his stunts, but with the direction of David Leitch, having been a stuntman in the early parts of his career, it really helped elevate this movie that I don't necessarily think a lot of other directors could have done. Now, as for some downs of the film, I think that there was a lot of play into Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt's characters, especially at the beginning, which I think it was just a little bit too much, and I think it was a moment in the editing room where they were just like, is this too much or is this not enough? There's this one particular scene in the film where Emily Blunt is directing a scene where Ryan Gosling's character has to be lit on fire and runs into like a spacecraft, and then this explosion happens where that sends him flying back, and he has to like hit this rock, and that happens I think 5 times, but within each, so basically they're having this conversation with each other that's supposed to be secretive, but really they start talking and everyone starts to understand that she's talking about how their love fling that happened, you know, over a year ago is over with. She's, you know, seen other people, but Ryan Gosling's character is talking about how things sometimes don't change, sometimes, you know, it's good for, you know, blah, 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 blah. Like Ryan Gosling is for it, she's against it, and she keeps telling him to keep doing the same stunt over and over and over and over again. And at first it was cute, but also it was just like, I don't know if a director would be able to get away with this. But, you know, maybe that is how it goes. In all, this is a really fun film. I had a really good time with it, even though it did have those moments where I was just like, seems to be, there's a little bit too much here. Let's cut this a little bit and just move on. There was a lot of that. There was a lot of buildup, like especially for the plot, like I said, there's a lot of buildup, and there isn't a lot of that action sequences until the very last like 30 minutes of the film, in which those very last 30 minutes of the film, or 40 minutes, the last third act is really fun. It is a really good time. It was a very fun film, and it's one that I think is going to be very rewatchable. It's very cute, it's very charming, it's very lovable. I mean, you have Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt in the acting chairs, and David Leitch in the directing chair, which he should be allowed to direct more films. I think I prefer Bullet Train over this film because Bullet Train just had so much action throughout the entire film, and there was a lot more creativity when it came to the stunt choreography and the cinematography. But overall, Fall Guy, very fun film. Ryan Gosling's great, Emily Blunt is great, the supporting cast is really fun. Grab some popcorn, watch it. It's a really fun time. So this is my first video, so make sure you stay tuned for more videos in the future. I'm going to be trying to make more films on YouTube, and I hope that you enjoyed this first video of mine, this first official YouTube video of mine that isn't a short film. There is going to be more of them because this is kind of what I want to form my content around, is making these more long-form videos and just give you more of my perspective that's longer than 60 seconds. So stick around, there's going to be more content like this. Thank you so much for helping me be able to have this stuff to be able to make these kind of videos, and I hope that you want more in the future. All right, thank you for watching. If you haven't seen The Fall Guy, I definitely recommend go watching it. It's a fun time, and see you in the next video.